Hey everyone, Rob Drummond here. Just wanted to give you a bit of an update. I have been pretty quiet on the emails over the last few months. Unusually quiet, or unnervingly quiet, you might say. So my three main goals at the end of last year, were threefold. One was to update my simple story selling book, which started off as a quick job back in September. I was like, oh, I'm just going to fix some minor changes. And then I was looking at the book, and as is often the case with editing large documents, you realise that the editing job is quite a large job. So what was originally a quick job ended up taking me about 4 months. So actually, the book has been fully updated. If you got an existing copy, the content probably hasn't changed that much. I think it's a lot easier to read, and I've fixed a whole load of typos and stuff. I've also just changed the structure slightly. So what I've done is, in the table of contents, I've moved the storytelling basics and the 7-step production process up front, and moved the more advanced stuff about the 7 plot archetypes further back in the book. So I think the structure of the book now makes more sense. It actually goes from beginner to advanced rather than from advanced to beginner. So if you don't own a copy, Simple Story Selling, it's going to be free on Kindle for a few days next weekend. So between the 15th and the 17th of January, you'll be able to grab a copy free on Kindle. If you've already got it on Kindle, I think if you scrub it off your Kindle, I think if you delete Kindle book and then go to Amazon, you should be able to just download it again. And that's available now, so you can do that straight away. So that was the first thing. I mean, essentially what I realized was that all of my clients read the book. So I was like, I should make promoting the book my main metric in what I'm doing. So the second goal that I had at the end of last year was updating my web presence. And I've actually sort of taken quite a significant step here to say, okay, I'm going to focus down on the email storytelling. Like, that essentially is my core thing. And I'm actually going a little bit further than that. So historically, I've had two kind of customer avatars, if you like. One is copywriters, or people who write their own emails. The other is business owners, so people who manage a business but don't write the content. And in the past, I've tried to, when I was doing this as true story selling, I was trying to cater to both audiences. So this iteration of my work is very much about the writers. It's about helping people who are struggling to write emails in Keep, ActiveCampaign, and want to write more story-based content to build trust, close more sales, build relationships with cold prospects. So I'm reverting back to my storycopywriters.com domain. So new year, new domain. The Maze Mastery stuff will basically remain online. It's just not really a focus at the moment. The Maze Marketing podcast will also remain online, but we haven't got any new episodes planned. I've sort of been following people like Perry Marshall, Richard Koch, and what all of these people say is, like, you need to focus down and put in your 10,000 hours in a particular area. And I've been asking myself, like, am I spreading my focus too widely? Do I need to really focus down on a particular area? And the answer to that is yes. So this is basically what I'm doing. So the emails that you see from me going forward will be based around email copywriting. That's what you'll be hearing from me about. Jonathan Wilson, who's my podcast co-host, still runs a Google Ads consulting business and agency. So if you want, pay-per-click help, remarketing help, maze building help, then contact Jonathan. His website's octobermarketing.com. We haven't fallen out. It's just I've decided to kind of focus on what I'm doing a lot more. So as with all of these things, the web update, was a more traumatic experience than I thought it would be. But essentially, it is now done. My third goal at the end of last year was to document my systems, which I think actually is worth just showing you a slice of what I've been up to. So I've been using Airtable to document this. I've been exploring Airtable with our Maze Insider members last year and doing some work with our paid membership group on this. But essentially what this does is this maps out, what forms do I have? And actually sort of narrowing down my focus to email storytelling has it's been a great relief, because it's dramatically cut down the number of email sequences and the number of opt-in forms, and it's meant that I can actually sort of get my head around this, and it's felt a lot less overwhelming. What this does is this documents, what forms there are. So the name here matches the form in ActiveCampaign. And it documents, well, what is the thank you page? And on that form, what segmentation fields are we using? So in ActiveCampaign, I have 2 segmentation fields that ultimately will be used to customize the emails that you receive from me. One is contact type. So contact type being, are you a business owner? Are you a full-time marketer? Or are you both? And the other segmentation field is your copywriting experience. Are you an experienced copywriter? Are you intermediate, or are you just starting out? Because those ultimately, they not only dictate the offers that you'll get, but they also dictate the way those offers are phrased. If you tell me that you're a copywriting novice, then at some point you will receive an offer for my Nurture Email Mastery course, but it will be phrased in quite a different way compared to if you tell me that you're an intermediate or an advanced writer. So that's why what I found actually is that asking for this information up front is a lot easier than getting people to opt in and trying to gather the information later on. It's much harder to gather it later on. So actually, if we go back to the Story Copywriters website, so you can see my form here. I'm not doing anything fancy. This is just embedding the native ActiveCampaign forms on the website. I decided that was the simplest way of doing it. And actually, if I click on this button, it opens a Thrive box. This is the same form, and it's got what are the segmentation questions on up here. So it asks you, are you a business owner? Are you a marketing professional? Are you both of those things? On the thank you page then, so if I open the thank you page, I've then got the second step form, which is this form here. So yes, we got the second step form. When this actually gets filled in, the first name and the email get passed through. So there's, I'm not asking for the same information multiple times. It gets passed through from one form to the other. So actually, this is this is a bit of a test. So I'm offering a free printed crib sheet to complement the 7-day storytelling email series. This is a bit of a test because the people who are really interested in this, I found, do want to request the printed documents and are willing to give a mailing address. So it's almost a way of segmenting people coming into the database. And the people who are really interested, who are most likely to buy, they will fill in multiple forms, they will answer segmentation questions, and they will leave their mailing address. So, it starts to prioritize people immediately. On this form, I've also got my second segmentation questions. So you can see here which best describes you, and it's got experience, intermediate, beginner, and ground zero. The blank screen terrifies me. So all of this, I'm gathering information that I'll need to segment the customer journey later on. What I've also done in addition to this is outside of Airtable, so in Lucidchart, I've also created a map of these forms. So we've got the 7-day storytelling course form. So these are currently all of the forms, all of the ways into the database. And at the moment, there's only 3. There will be, there will be more over time. There will at least be one webinar or automated webinar, which is partway through production, but it's not going to be immediately soon. But it indicates what form is it. This matches up to the title in Airtable and also in ActiveCampaign. So it just maps visually what forms link to what sequences. So if they fill in the 7-day storytelling course form, then obviously they get the 7-day course. At the end of that course, spoiler alert, but there's going to be an offer where people can pay 10% of the course fee if they complete the course in a certain time frame. So I'm documenting, what the sequence is, what the offer is at the end of that sequence. After that, they go to the course story sequence, which I've done a load of work on actually. This is my sort of my version of telling my own story over about 19 emails. So this was another thing where I decided to make some minor changes to this and realised it was quite a big job to update it. But as you get to this point, what I've done is I've edited the structure of the sequence in ActiveCampaign so that you go through at your own pace. So if you open every email every day, you'll get the next email. So if you open today's email, you'll get tomorrow's email tomorrow. If you don't open it, it adds an extra couple of days delay. There's also a link on each email so that if you want to read tomorrow's email straight away, you can just queue it up. So the idea basically is that someone can receive email 1 in this sequence and just read all 19 emails in one glorious batch sitting. You know, if someone wants to do that, I'm going to indulge them and let them do it. And often, you know, so let's say if you've got 100 people on the list, there might only be 1 or 2 people that do that, but they're probably going to be the ones that buy. After that, people will go to Nurture, and that's where some of the segmentation questions that we're asking on the opt-in forms come into play. So this is kind of like the beginning, but I think this is, you know, in terms of documentation and just kind of getting stuff out of my head so that if I was to show this to someone else, they would actually have a bit of a clue as to what I was thinking and what pages, what forms lead to what thank you pages, what forms are gathering which segmentation questions, what automations get triggered, what emails exist in those automations. So if I go back to my Airtable, you can see that all of my emails are in here. I can see what the subject line is. As I start to push more contacts through this, I can start to keep a log on the Airtable of subject line split tests. I can see what the current subject line is. I can see where the email copy doc is. I've decided to keep all of my email copy on Google Docs rather than keeping it within ActiveCampaign. I've also documented what the landing page is, if there is one for that particular email. So yeah, so all a bit more organised. I think there's a lot of lessons in this actually. You know, if you're looking to kind of build out your own systems, your own sequences, like essentially it's not that complicated. It's just keeping it organised. It's using consistent naming syntaxes across the sequences and across the forms, so that you know, if you find the form in ActiveCampaign, then you can have a look in Airtable and figure out, well, what is that form actually doing? So that's what I've been up to. So plans for 2021 to focus down on the email storytelling market. I think since I last kind of focused on this, I think there is sort of a real interest in marketing in terms of storytelling. And you know, the great thing about my Nurture Email Mastery course is that it just hasn't gone out of date. It's not like running courses about Facebook ads where they go out of date in 7 seconds. It's all fine, which is great, and that's because it's foundational. It's a foundational skill to be able to tell your story in an engaging way and connect your story to a sales message. So that's what I'll be doing. I'd like to invite you to join me on that journey. There's no action required to do that. Obviously, if you don't want to hear from me about storytelling and copywriting, if that isn't your bag, that's fine. Just find the unsubscribe link and and that'll be that. So yeah. Otherwise, I hope you're well. I wish you the best for 2021, and yeah, we'll catch up soon. Thanks.